Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Every Bird Ranked. Backyard Expeditions and I are on a mission where we are going to go through every living bird group in the entire world, and we're going to rank them on 5 different attributes. So this episode, we're working our way through another batch of birds, and I'm hoping you're excited to come along with us and learn more about the variety of birds that are out there in the world. You ready to go, Backyard Expeditions?
Yeah.
Awesome. The first group that we'll be talking about today are the Phaethontiformes. Ooh.
Oh, there's an H in there, yeah. Ooh.
Phaethontiformes.
Yeah.
They're tropic birds. That's much easier to remember. It's a little known group of birds. There's only 3 species in the entire world, and all of them are tropic birds. So there's not multiple categories. Tropic birds live in the tropical parts of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. They soar above the ocean waves looking at the scenery, their long tail streamers waving in the breeze like a parade of one bird. When they see a fish, they dive down and eat it. Then they nest on isolated tropical islands high on cliff faces where nobody can bother them. So we're going to talk about the tropic bird now. We're going to rank it on 5 different attributes. One is diversity. Does this bird have a lot of different types of birds or a large number of species?
That would be a no on both counts.
Okay, 3 species, 1 type of bird, not diverse. Are these birds famous? Would anybody remember a tropic bird on their list of all the birds that they know?
Unfortunately not. I think it kind of depends on how many, BBC Earth shows you watch, because they have become a more famous group that they've been showing a lot, but...
But it's...
Yeah, no.
For most people, it's not going to be on their list. Are they amazing? Do tropic birds have some amazing trait?
I mean, they when we were talking about the frigate birds last time, they do put up with them, which is a lot of work for a bird.
Okay, so what you're talking about here is that frigate birds are constantly... the way they survive is they're basically stealing fish that these tropic birds have caught for themselves legitimately. Frigate birds are just flying right by, harassing them until they drop their fish and then eating them.
And there's, from the aforementioned BBC shows, there's footage of the frigate birds grabbing the little tropic birds by their tails and then trying to shake the fish out of them.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just not, I'm not overwhelmed enough to give them an amazing star at this point. Intriguing.
They are cool in the respect that where you have 2 species overlapping, say Hawaii, you have red-tailed tropic birds and white-tailed tropic birds. But the red-tailed tropic birds are nesting on the coast, on the cliffs, and then the white-tailed tropic birds are flying deep inland and, nesting on cliff faces kind of in the interior.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So they maintain geographical diversity, separation, even though they both nest on islands.
Yeah.
So between amazing and intriguing, did they get either of them?
I don't know. They're cool.
Okay. Amazing. Okay. Let's say not either of them, because if we're not wow or what, then it's pretty obvious that that when you're amazed, you just feel it. It's all about whether you have a feeling in your chest that is amazement or wonder.
Okay.
It's measurable.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
Measurable. It's qualitative. That's something.
That's true. The qualitative is one of the 2 types of measurements. So there you go. Finally, are they beautiful?
They probably are the prettiest seabird.
Yeah, I agree. I genuinely like their tail streamer. It's a nice touch. Otherwise, they look a little bit kind of like a gull. They do have that beautiful red pointed beak, but the beautiful tail streamer sets them apart from other just normal birds, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they got 1.
They're not a rhea.
They pulled it out at the last second. They got 1 star, which is just enough to not have 0 stars. 0 stars being the bar to beat. These ones have surpassed that. Nice. Okay. Well, I think we know a little bit more about tropic birds. On the other hand, I think we are also ready to move on to our next group. The next group that we'll be talking about are the Otidiformes? What would you say?
Yeah, it might be otidiformes.
Otidiformes. Interesting. Their more common name is the bustards. I didn't know about these birds before I started learning about birds more. Their famous members are just bustards. There is no other bird in this group. Bustards are ground-dwelling birds in dry grassland areas. They have strong legs for walking and running. They eat whatever food they find while walking: seeds, fruit, animals. The Cory bustard is the heaviest flying bird in the world, weighing up to 44 pounds and measuring up to 5 feet long. Are they diverse, though? Let's start there. There's 26 species, and there's just bustards.
Yeah, you can. There are the floricans, but that's just a different name for bustard.
And I was very happy to actually know what bustards were at this point, and it was because of the Cory bustards. But I didn't. Whatever you just said, I did not know about them. Floricans?
More on the floricans later.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Fame. Would most people remember that bustards exist?
Unfortunately, I think the average person wouldn't have a clue about bustards.
Yeah. They're regionally specific. I think they live in Africa. Are they only in Africa?
There are some that go kind of up through the Middle East into the Indian subcontinent, and they're also kind of in Europe, sort of Mediterranean. I mean, they used to be in England, too.
Interesting.
Relatively recently.
Okay. But especially because we're both based in North America, our average person that we know does not know about bustards. Okay, so they don't get the fame star. Are bustards amazing?
I mean, you have the largest flying bird, which is pretty cool.
The heaviest.
And
are they the largest too?
Well, it depends how you define largest, but
they're definitely the heaviest.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking about that, they're like the size of a velociraptor, and they're flying.
Okay, yes, amazing. Also, that's an amazing fact. I really like that one because velociraptors are scary, and these ones are carnivorous birds, and they're 44 pounds. That is a scary, awesome bird.
They're in sort of that large savanna grassland bird class.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So theoretically, if we looked back at the Cory bustard in the future, would it be flightless?
I think flightlessness only appears very rare. I think it's easy for birds to become flightless, which is very interesting. But I think it takes a lot of really special circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in their natural habitat, there's enough predators and things around that the selective pressure to maintain flight is strong enough.
I mean, theoretically, in some horrible scenario where just all the large predators in Africa get wiped out, and then they, as a fairly large predator themselves, basically go terror bird.
Yeah, but let's really hope that doesn't happen.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope that the bustards stay flighted.
Are these birds intriguing? Is there anything you would like to know more about the bustards?
They do a lot of cool mating displays that are sort of interesting. They're very, almost kind of in the diversity of grouse, where you have sort of all sorts of crazy ways of attracting mates.
I want to know why they're so heavy, because in flying birds specifically, there's so much pressure to shave off every little bit of weight possible. And so I'm curious how the bustards are able to survive, even though they've kind of gone against that base requirement for flight. Did they get stronger, or is there some benefit that they get by being so massive but also able to fly? And so I definitely want to learn more about the Cory bustard.
Yeah, it is a bird that's worth investigating.
Cool. So let's give them the intriguing star. Are bustards beautiful?
I mean, I'm assuming this is I think that's a Cory bustard.
Yeah, I think it is.
And that's a fairly nice looking ground bird. And then when you get to some of the smaller species, especially the floricans, which are they're the males are this black color and big white markings, and then they do their mating display where they basically just jump up in the air and flap their wings a bit and then sort of flutter back to the ground.
Okay. And female floricans find that very interesting.
It's look how cool this guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the Florikins especially, there are some very distinctive, very colorful members of the group.
Okay.
I mean, not colorful and like going beyond brown, black, and white, but like using those colors to make a very appealing looking bird.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's give them the beautiful star. They got 3 out of 5. Let's see if our next bird group can do any better. The Pelicaniformes. I'm quite confident on that one because it's basically just saying the word pelican.
Yeah, with aniformes.
Yes, which means shaped, literally. So it means pelican-shaped birds, which I take issue with that, but let's talk about that in a minute.
Because pelicans are the weird one.
Right. So let's talk about their famous members because there are a lot of them. There are pelicans, there are ibises, herons, spoonbills, and shoebills. All of these are in Pelicaniformes. This group has many famous members with different life strategies. Their beaks are finely tuned implements which let them interact with prey. The pelicans have a big throat pouch for holding fish. Ibis have curved beaks with touch-sensitive sensors. Spoonbills have spoon-shaped beaks for sifting mud. Herons have straight beaks for catching fish. And shoebills have razor-sharp beaks with a knife tip for simple, direct killing of prey. Are these birds diverse?
You have your 5 birds and you have over 100 species.
Oh, right.
I think that was like one of our thresholds.
Yeah, there's 118 species. They passed on both of them, and there's more also on top of what we were talking about. Those are just the famous members. Okay, they get the diversity star then. That's great. Are these birds famous?
Pelicans and herons are pretty famous, I would
agree.
think.
Yeah, and I definitely think if somebody was trying to come up with weird bird species that they know, that the spoonbill would end up on that list, and maybe the shoebill as well.
Yeah, and not to mention, I was just thinking of this, is in Europe, there's I guess your Marriott, or what sort of hotel chain is called Ibis.
Oh, okay.
So, like, has a little ibis on it.
Cool. Yeah, okay, so these birds are definitely famous. Are these birds amazing?
Pelican's expandable throat pouch is like this really cool material and adaptation to catching fish.
Mm-hmm.
The shoebill is like, I would have to say, like the scariest bird. Like they have like a big boxy head, so they're like kind of cute, but they do look mean. And then they can like crush, the skulls of fish and stuff with their jaws. Birds have mostly forgone jaw muscle strength for flight adaptation.
Man, this group of birds has a lot of interesting birds in it. I definitely think they're amazing.
Yeah.
I've got a fun fact about ibises. So a lot of birds have touch receptors in their beaks that only work on contact, like the way we think of touch working, where if we touch something, we feel it. But ibises have touch receptors in the end of their beak that are more like the touch receptors in our ears that let us hear, because hearing is like super specialized touch, really. Touch at a distance, and ibises' beaks have more of a hearing type sense. So if they touch a prey animal, they can feel it, but if a prey animal is near where they put their beak, they can still feel it.
Yeah, sort of like the pit receptors on like crocodilians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so that's cool.
That's pretty cool. I don't know. So it sounds like both of us put that into the amazing category immediately. Is there anything intriguing about them?
There is. The main thing I want to talk about is herons are like have so many cool strategies for catching fish that are like so fascinating. How this even, so you have little black herons in Africa that they fold their wings over their heads and then create this little dark canopy that fish will swim into when they're disturbed, and then the herons will just eat them from there.
Hide here. It's a great place to hide from predators.
Yeah. Then you have there's egrets with yellow feet with yellow toes. The feet are yellow. The legs are black.
Okay.
And then they can kind of wiggle those toes around as sort of like a little lure.
What's this? Okay.
Yeah. And then some birds and then I think night herons specifically, they just use bait.
Oh, okay. So they'll
use like a feather or a piece of food. Yeah.
Here, fishy, fishy, fishy. These facts about the pelicaniformes are so amazing that they go right around into intriguing, where I'm like, I feel like we don't know anything about anything. I feel like we don't understand about these birds. I feel like we don't now know anything about any living animal, because animals are so interesting and complicated that it's like, what do we even actually know about them? For inspiring that feeling, I'm going to call it intriguing. Finally, are these birds beautiful?
I mean, those pelicans right there are quite regal-looking animals.
Right? They're silly, but
Especially
also
when
like
flying.
in a beautiful way.
Especially when flying. Here I have the American white pelicans, and they're absolutely beautiful birds, and they're sort of flying and circling around. They're big white birds with these black wings. And then you've got, I mean, there's so many pretty herons.
Yeah.
And ibis.
Yeah. Yeah, really. All right, so we got our 4th 5-star bird group.
Yeah. I think they deserve it.
It's a good group according to our rating system. Our next bird group is one of the most famous in the world. I gotta stay away from like mentioning specific star qualities, but anyway, these birds are famous. They just are. Strigiformes. I'm fairly confident on that one. Strigiformes have 248 species, and they are all owls. There is nothing else in this group except for lots and lots of owls. But there are a lot of famous owls. There's the barn owl, as pictured. There's the great horned owl. There's Harry's owl, and there's Ron's owl. Lots of different owls. These nocturnal hunters rule the night. They have enormous eyes to collect light, fringes on their feathers for silent flight. From facing forwards, their necks can turn backwards to the left or right. Sharp claws to grab and sharp beaks to bite. Cryptic coloration to stay out of sight. If you think owls are amazing, then you are right. They capture hearts and minds. They surprise and delight.
Well, I like the rhyming scheme there.
Thank you. I was going through my poem phase during that.
I mean, kind of like a fun Halloween-y poem. This is probably going to come out towards the end of October anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true. Happy Halloween. Is this bird group diverse?
They do have like almost 250 species.
Mm-hmm.
They are all owls.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of blank / owls, like hyphen owls, which I don't know if that counts for different groups.
When thinking about diversity, I think the different types of lifestyles that the owls have, because they're not all the same. There's owls that hunt during the day, there's owls that hunt at night, there's owls that live in the high Arctic, there's owls that live like in the tropics, owls that live in trees, and then there's owls that burrow underground also, or move into existing burrows.
Owls that eat stuff from under snow, owls that eat fish.
Mm-hmm. So all of these things together, they're not scientific bird groups, but I'm going to say that the way they're really exploring the different ways to be an owl.
Unfortunately, I didn't see that or hear that many, but like Costa Rica has like 5 different species of screech owl that are all in completely different habitats.
Wow.
So you have ones that are in the rainforest, ones in the dry forest, ones up high in the Paramo sort of montane regions. It's just weird.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I think they've earned a diversity star. They have almost 250 species, but then they're also just like so many different types of owl that all technically fall in the same group.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Are owls famous?
You've already sort of spoiled this, but yeah, they're going to be in the top 10, if not the top 5 birds if you ask somebody to list off birds they know.
Yes. Especially around Halloween, definitely famous. Everybody's going to remember an owl of some kind. Are these birds amazing?
I don't think you can't say that they're not amazing. They have this very quiet, almost silent flight. They have incredible night vision, and then they can just like rotate their heads to look behind them.
Not only that, they can be looking forward, and then they can rotate their head, and then they can end up looking that way, but from like the long way around. There's so many things about owls that are unique to owls and definitely are amazing. So owls get the amazing star. Are owls intriguing?
I think one of the craziest things is that how they're the reason that they're silent is like still like unknown. Like it's just this active area of research, obviously because people want to figure out how to make silent aircraft. Well, the wings that owls have oversized wings, so they're not putting as much pressure on their wings, so they can, they can glide more instead of flapping.
Right. Okay, so their wing loading is low enough that they just don't need to flap very often.
That's why they sort of float around. It's that they have a very distinctive flight style, and that's because they don't really need to flap as much.
Cool.
And then you've got the soft edges with both the wings in general, and then there's velvet type bristles coming up on the wings, and that basically is just breaking up air currents into smaller air currents that don't make as much noise as one big air current, like with most birds.
Mm-hmm. And it's so, even though we know all of that, there's still probably more to discover about how owls are able to fly silently.
That's like the basics of what we understand. And then finally, there's this crazy thing. I desperately want to film it and make a video about it. But in UV light, the underwings of a northern saw-whet owl under UV light is bright pink.
Oh, weird.
Like I've seen pictures.
Are they nocturnal?
Yeah, they're nocturnal. And it's just but if you shine the light, there's like this bright pink underwing.
So they would never be in bright ultraviolet light ever. They would be in moonlight or like star.
Yeah, that's what's weird about it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what.
Yeah, that's really intriguing. Okay, well, we've got two things. To confirm about the silent flight, I helped take care of a southern boobook owl, which is an Australian type of owl. And when they say owls are silent, like silent, that is super cool.
And some don't have, I think the fishing owls, because they're hunting underwater, partially because you don't need it anymore.
Right. I was going to say, the fish aren't going to hear you coming.
And also because the silent flight comes at the cost that owls are completely not waterproof.
Okay.
They can't fly in the rain, which is like the one disadvantage of being an owl is if it rains, you can't actually take off.
Okay.
So I think they've lost all these adaptations. I think that's some of the research has been, I think, probably gotten from some of the, like looking at what a fish owl does differently, and you can hear it.
Well, I think we just spent like several minutes telling people how intriguing owls are. So let's give them a star for that one. Owls are extremely intriguing. Are owls beautiful?
I mean, look at that barn owl. And I was just going to bring up two owls, even though there's a huge list of beautiful owls. It's like, that is a really nice looking owl. Yeah. It has, with just the brown, black, that because most birds don't have the special structures to do green and blue and red. But with just your brown, black, and brown, you can get some really nice colorations. And then you have the snowy owl, which snowy owls are gorgeous.
And they have like two different plumage forms, and both of them look really nice. So that's just barn owls and snowy owls, and then other owls look very nice as well, like the eagle owl with the big orange eyes, like very nice looking owls. We got another 5-star
in a row. I mean,
two in a row. Are we being too generous, or are these birds too amazing?
I think those birds are too amazing. I think that the streak will be broken with the next group. For certain.
Okay, let's find out what the next bird species is. I'll put up a picture of it. See if anybody can guess what that bird is. This bird is in the group Leptosimiformes.
Leptosimiformes.
Let's go Leptosimiformes. Okay, you had your chance to guess. This is the cuckoo roller. There's only one species in the entire world. Not only is in its own species, it's in its own genus, it's in its own family, it's in its own order.
There are very few species.
Like, they're so different from other birds. Famous members, just one single species of cuckoo roller. The cuckoo roller is the last species in an ancient line of birds. It's so different than other birds that nobody is exactly sure where to put it. It's a predator on Madagascar and other small islands off the coast of Africa, catching small endemic animals found nowhere else on Earth and eating them. The cuckoo roller seems resilient to human disturbance so far, so there is a chance that this unique lineage of birds will continue into the future. Are these birds diverse?
No.
Is this the least diverse bird group in the entire world?
There's one other.
So this group is tied for the least diverse bird group in the entire world, at one species in the entire order. Okay, definitely not diverse. Is this bird famous?
I think I'd heard the term cuckoo roller, but like it's like I wouldn't even think to put it in a list.
Right.
Of birds.
Yeah. Okay, not famous. Is this bird amazing?
I think being on its own, that does give it sort of this interesting. I don't know if that's the most amazing thing. Oh, it's by itself. Like that makes it intriguing to me, but I don't know if it necessarily makes it, oh, that's the most amazing bird ever.
Okay. Is it going to have some like unique gene sequence or unique organ system that no other bird has?
That's where my intriguing. I think it's definitely more in the intriguing. I know there's very little information on this bird. So it's kind of thing. It's like I would love to learn more about what makes it different than cuckoos or
rollers.
Rollers. Yeah, I mean, it's like
it's not halfway between a cuckoo and a roller. It's kind of like a cuckoo, kind of like a roller, not at all like either of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So somebody was like, "Hey, what's that bird?" Well, okay, so you know a cuckoo, right? And they're like, "Yeah." And you know what a roller is, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like any of those.
It vaguely reminded me of those two birds, but it's nothing like them.
Right. Okay, so that's why it's called the cuckoo roller.
I think that's interesting in your little description that they're resilient to human disturbance, which is good because so many species in Madagascar are very, very threatened because Madagascar is such a degraded ecosystem at this point.
Sure. Well, the cuckoo roller is kind of like eating whatever natural populations are still there. They might be amazing, but we don't know enough about them in order to give them an amazing star. On the other hand, they are extremely intriguing.
Yeah, it's like, I want to know kind of more about this bird.
Is this bird beautiful?
It's not a bad looking bird, and it definitely has sort of the big head, so it's kind of cute.
It's very easy to talk about the entire diversity of cuckoo roller because there's males and females of the one species. So this is a male, and it's got the white front and the dark back. Females are brown. So there's your two choices.
Okay, is the male pull it off? Is it a good enough looking bird? I have no idea.
I think it's an intriguing looking bird. It's got the big head, like you said. It's got the big eye. It kind of looks like a kookaburra, but it's got a shorter beak, and kookaburras look nice. I don't know. I'd be willing to give it a beautiful star.
Let's give the cuckoo roller 2 stars. The one that no one has heard about.
So we got a 2-star bird. Nobody knows about it, but it's got 2 stars, like you said. Nice. Okay. Cuckoo rollers. Could probably use a better name. Is there a name that you would give to the cuckoo roller that would be more like descriptive of what it actually is?
In this case, kind of with common names in birds that live with distinctive island cultures, it's whatever the Malagasy word for it would be is probably what I would suggest.
That is an excellent choice. Yeah.
I think it is. I think it does have a distinctive Malagasy name.
Nice. It's always very respectful to use those when possible. Well, we hate to have to go, but we have a gray go-away bird who's telling us that it's time to end this episode. Thanks for joining us as we rank every bird in existence. You can go over to Backyard Expeditions channel where you can learn more about birds and other wildlife. He also has got a really interesting video about tumbleweeds that I really liked. Subscribe here before you go so that you know when future episodes of Every Bird Ranked come out, because we are committed to going through every bird order in existence, all of them, and it's going to take a few more episodes, but we're going to get there. So thanks for joining us on this journey. Thanks for stopping by this week to learn what makes life awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome.